Slashed through Luxembourg, Belgium, and Holland, 5 German armies fanned out across France. Treachery and incompetence had doomed the nation that only a decade ago had been leader of Europe. Now the campaign mounted in fury as France crumbled. This was Rouen. Paris had been evacuating its children. There was talk of defending the city street by street. This plan was abandoned. From the beginning, the French, like the British, tried to spare children the sight and sound of war, but the parting was hard. On June 10th, 4 days before France fell, Mussolini entered the war. He had waited until that moment to make his decision. And now the Nazis entered Paris. This had been the dream of the Kaiser in the last war. Hitler achieved it. And the Maginot Line was still there. The Nazis had merely outflanked it. Now they tried direct attack, and the Maginot Line fell. The First World War had ended officially in this railroad car, where Marshal Foch had received the delegates of the vanquished Germans. Hitler commandeered the car for what he believed was the end of the Second World War. The French army was no more. Hitler was master of Europe. England would surrender, for although it had rescued its men from Dunkirk, it had not rescued their equipment. The Nazi soldiers were singing, "We're sailing against England." Here at Compiègne, Vichy was born. Hitler was happy. Britain alone remained as Hitler's sole barrier to a total victory. Nazi submarines, now berthed on the conquered coast, set out to starve the British people into submission. Nazi planes, now only a few minutes' flight from the English coast, set out to bomb the British people into submission. Nazi propagandists, making full use of the new weapon, the radio, set out to talk the British people into submission.
Terrifying.
The voice you hear is that of Lord Haw-Haw.
The blitzkrieg will be carried over the British islands with greater, more appalling rapidity than over Poland, Norway, Holland, Belgium, or France.
Prime Minister Churchill rallied his people in what he called their finest hour. He had offered them nothing but blood and sweat, toil and tears. They accepted his gift. Britain was fighting in the 7 seas, while the invader was only 20 miles away, and the French fleet was no longer its ally. Nazi submarines, mines, planes, and surface raiders constituted a formidable menace to Britain's lifeline, the freighters that brought her food and raw materials for war. Britain hung on. Now the Nazi Air Force, Hitler's ace weapon, was brought into play. German bombers attacked English ports, so that even if the freighters escaped submarines and mines, they faced destruction in harbors, and the lifeline could be cut at its source. They bombed railroads and factories to disrupt transportation and war production. They bombed by day, and when the Royal Air Force smashed more than 180 of the bombers out of the sky in one session, they bombed by night. The face of London changed. Historic landmarks disappeared. Night after night, London was left a sea of fire. Plymouth was battered. Coventry. Air armadas appeared over these cities through the fall and winter of 1940 and well into the spring of 1941. Wreckage was cleared and production continued. A new army was created, equipped with new weapons. In the Mediterranean, the British sought out the Italian fleet, which refused to leave its harbors. Finally, the British had to bomb landlocked Italian warships. Malta, British stronghold, survived ceaseless pounding by Nazi and fascist air. The British sweep through Libya by General Sir Archibald Wavell succeeded in destroying Mussolini's empire. The British captured Eritrea and Somaliland, and in May 1941, Haile Selassie was restored to his throne. Under Marshal Rommel, Nazi forces slashed into Egypt. But whatever the immediate future might hold for the democracies in the Middle East, the Italian fascists had lost the war in Africa as well as in Europe.